Maybe not. Good afternoon, everybody, or evening. This is Troy Lingerie, and we're here with Josh Collins. Thanks for joining us, Josh.
Thank you
And
for having me.
you're welcome. And I want to give a shout out before we get started to the Luscious Mass Studio, owned and operated by Chad Christ, who does produce my music and many others. But he basically was set up to do guitarists and drummers and recording them. And he has a very creative, collaborative environment. And before long, his calendar was getting full with people like me who are cutting CDs. So if you have any needs, you can find Chad Christ on Facebook, or you can put in Luscious Moss Studio and find him. And with that, let's start. Josh, how did you get into this whole? By the way, Josh is a country player, just like me. Only he's into more of the really new country. So, Josh, how'd you get started?
How I got started? Well, I'd say I was about 13, 14, and I was working with my brother, and we turn on the radio. We went in his truck because I think we were mowing lawns or something, and it was hot outside in the Missouri sun, and we got in his truck to turn the AC on for like a sec, and then he turns on the radio, and I hear Randy Travis play, and I was like, wow, it was inspirational.
Yeah.
For like a 13-year-old kid, and I was like, man, I want to be like that guy. So I've got a guitar at an antique store for like $50 and just was strumming around with it, and I was like, let me see if I learned it on YouTube, and then I learned how to play guitar, and then the singing part kind of just, well, I got with a voice teacher, Lisa Downey. Yeah, and she was an assistant. How I found her, she was a substitute teaching for me in music, and she found me, and she's like, "Would you like to take voice lessons?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to take voice lessons." And she taught me opera before I could learn country.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was kind of her thing. She really wanted me to learn where music came from.
Right.
Before I did what she called the pop stuff,
Yeah, they all do that.
Yeah, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I actually liked it. I didn't know I would be able to sing in Italian, and
that I didn't do.
and well, because one of the things she said to me when I was learning is she's like, "Well, Italian is easier to sing than English." Believe it or not, I didn't believe her until I actually did it.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, she's right. Yeah.
No, thank you. I have a hard enough time with English. I don't think I could do that, Josh.
I didn't even understand what I was singing about, but it was a lot easier than English, though.
Yeah. I was trying to think of, isn't Jerry Batista Italian?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite an interesting, they're very family-oriented people. Big families. I finally got introduced to his mother. That was interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, the woman that made him who he is, I think, and his sister. He had a good upbringing. So, going a little further, who other than Randy Travis? I mean, it wasn't until I got back from West Virginia. I'd been out there with another company on contract, and all we had to do was sing karaoke. It was a little horse, 5,000 people, one horse town. So can you read that? There's a little comment thing up in the right-hand corner of your screen. It says, saw Josh perform at Casey Freedom at the Scuttlebutt Tap Room and Brewery.
Oh.
And they don't tell me. You've got to put your name on there, otherwise we don't know who you are. So
I can't even see the comments. How do I do that?
Oh, they're up in the upper right-hand corner, but your screen may not allow you. Some screens do. Wow, you just turned around upside down.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Rachel is Rachel Hoover. She's kind of a singer, but she's always at all these different concerts and makes comments and videos and pictures. Have you seen any that she sent any to you yet?
No, I don't think I've gotten anything from
Hey, Rachel, you ought to get this guy.
You might have to read these comments for me because I still can't see them. Yeah, my goodness.
Okay.
Well,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll do the best I can. I'll interrupt you, Josh, if we have any more come in. That's the feature of the live interview here.
no problem. But yeah, Scuttlebutt Tap Room with Casey Freedom. That's up at, so there's two Scuttlebutts in Everett. There's one by the waterfront that's like the restaurant slash bar, and then they have the tap room that's ran by Patrick Kolb.
Hmm.
And we do shows there every once in a while, and it's always a good time, especially when the sun's out, because they open like the little door there. But so that's like the brewery part, and that's by the I want to say Indigo Hotel,
Okay.
like
Which
that
one
side of
was it,
Everett.
Rachel?
That
Which
side of
one?
Everett. What's that?
I just asked Rachel, which one was it? Where did you see him?
Oh yeah, we only play at the tap room. So yeah, and
Oh,
when
okay.
I sang with Casey, that was during his album debut,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, so that I believe that was around the time.
I'm going to ask you a question I never asked, but
Sure.
you don't have to answer it. Can you give me a range of age, either your exact age or some range of age that you fit into?
A range of age that the music I perform fits into.
Well, that too. Yeah. But I was
What?
talking about your birth age.
My age.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 24. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just beginning your journey, aren't you, Josh?
It feels like it. Yeah. When I was about 15, 16, I never really had an official band, and it's so fun to play at venues. Yeah, with like a live band, it makes you not want to do solo sets anymore. I'll still do those though, because those are
Yeah.
fun too. But
Yeah.
just oh,
I'm losing you. You got to go the other way, Josh. Oh, there you are.
okay, yeah, we're gonna keep it up ways. All right, but yeah,
So what?
so but playing with a band is just much more fun. And for age range for like people who enjoy music, well, really, it's hard to say because like the music I play is like the people who would recognize it is people who are between the ages of 50 and like 18,
Yeah.
and maybe even younger than 18. But like live music in general, like you'll notice that older folks, they definitely like to go out and listen to live music more than
Yeah.
younger people, and they like to dance more, so it's really hard to say for that,
Yeah.
but so I in a perfect world, I think I would like to say everyone, I like to amuse everybody.
Yeah. Like what I was saying before is when I went to West Virginia, there was nothing to do but go to karaoke. And I really got to the point where I was listening. I didn't like older country. I was doing it, but I didn't like it. So in the 80s and 90s, the first song I ever heard was Shania Twain's Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? And I was sold. Now, some of this 2023 music, it's more rock than it is country. In my opinion, that's what it sounds like when I try to reproduce it, and I don't mind that. But there's something lost there too.
Well, I'll say this is, yeah, there's a little bit of rock in modern country. There's also a little bit of pop as well, but
A
just
little bit
like
of rap
everything,
too.
yeah, a little bit of rap too, of course.
Hip hop.
But things that they over time they evolve, right? You'll notice that with all genres of music, and country music as well. But yeah, things just kind of tend to evolve, and then there's also still newer country that kind of keeps that traditional sound. There's artists like Coulter Wall, you know, and this new guy, Oliver Anthony.
I'll have to listen to that.
He's the one that did that song "Rich Man North of Richmond." He's got a classic sound. I think Zach Bryan also has kind of a classic sound too.
I got a question.
Sure.
Who does that song? Cocaine Dancing? Is that what it's called?
That's Paul Cawthon. So he's like
Ah,
Americano country.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think yeah, that's quite a range, but I look at Facebook when I'm on Facebook a lot and YouTube. So
Hmm.
I'm looking at the age range of people who are looking at my stuff and joining and all the rest. And I've got quite a range. But most of them, I think, for me, start about 50 and up. In,
50
in
and up.
Yeah, and I'm still getting younger people too. But when I say we were just doing a gig yes Saturday, and what I'm trying to do is keep that old country in there, but I want to
Hmm.
sing the newer stuff because I don't like that older stuff. I mean, there are. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of good stuff, and we try to sing it, but I want a combination of the two because a lot of older people are not happy with the newer country,
Yeah.
which I am, but they are not.
Sometimes you'll get that, but you just got to introduce it to them, then
Right?
they'll enjoy it, because it's I feel like it's more just the presence and then the feel and the live music that people really enjoy. Sometimes it's the song, but a lot of times when people go out, like the Little Red Hen, for example, people go out to dance and sing along to the music, maybe get some drinks or maybe just go there solely to drink. Who knows?
Yeah,
But once they feel the kick drum and then they get the vocals going, then they seem to enjoy themselves even a little bit more, and that's kind of what it's all about too. But and then they kind of just grow attached to that kind of music in a way. I wouldn't say
yeah,
fully, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I like what you do, and I think you have a spirit of adventure singing "Strawberry Wine."
Strawberry Wine, yeah, the
it's
male
a
version.
it's a female song, but he made the male version. It's very good. I enjoy it. Which brings me to another question.
Sure.
You're a singer songwriter. When did you start writing songs?
When I was out to sea, I would
When
write.
you
Uh,
where?
when when I was out to sea a lot, I
Yeah,
would just.
Josh is a sailor. Can I say that?
Sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I'm in the U.S. Navy for everyone listening,
Thank
and
you for your service.
it's
Josh.
my pleasure. And when I was out to sea, whenever I'd have free time, I'd sometimes go down in my workshop and just write music and play guitar, and it was more for like stress, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
with the stress going on, that way I could just kind of like put it on paper and get it out of my head, put it on paper. It made it easier. And then, we just kind of see what we can make out of it.
yeah, exactly. Well, I've heard a couple of your songs, and I heard one. It was a story I really liked it. Then I never heard it anymore. So hopefully that'll one. I don't remember the name of it,
Was
but
it This Cowboy Rides Away?
um, it might have been. I'd have to hear the words to it, Josh.
Yeah.
But I also saw one that you must have been late at night because you were writing and saying that you put this song out there and you start singing it. I think it was one of yours. Do you remember posting that song?
Was it Kansas City?
Mm-mm. No, I don't know. It was something you'd written, something that you were talking about having written. Uh, I'm sorry, Josh. If I don't hear them more than once, they're kind of gone.
Yeah. So the two songs that I've written most recent, I would say, is Kansas City, and that's one I play a lot at venues. And then This Cowboy Rides Away. That's another one I wrote.
Okay, it could have been this cowboy rides away. I just don't remember.
That one's a little more of a sad song and kind of
Yeah,
slower.
yeah, that's what it was. So I get that. I mean, I understand being isolated like that and that kind of environment and wanting to do something creative to get the feelings that are raging around in your head. So, yeah. So, when was the first time, and what age were you? And when was the first time you ever went out and publicly sang? And was it country?
It was country. It was. think it was Urick, Missouri. It's a real small town. I think it's like a population of like 600 people. I don't know. It's small.
I lived in a
And
town like that once.
I well, no. So there was the one of the local radio stations was hosting an event, and I had asked my dad. I was like, "Hey, you think you could give me a ride here? I want to play on stage." And he's like, "You serious?" And I'm like, well, because the thing is like there's not really anything music within my family. Nobody really has played music. Not that I know of, anyways. Maybe they did it behind,
Yeah, behind closed doors.
I also have a huge family. I'm the youngest of seven. So,
Oh
but
my
from
goodness.
from my knowledge, none of my brothers and sisters really played music. I think one of my sisters played guitar for a little bit, maybe piano. Um, but other than that, I don't think none of them would, publicly play or anything like that. And I just wanted to do it. I said, oh, this could be fun. And, I did Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, because they give you a chance to sing. I think two songs, and I think I did Wagon Wheel, and I can't remember the other one. I think it was In Color. And yeah, that was my first time playing on stage, and my dad was like, "Okay, all right, so you found something you like doing."
Did he? Did he support your future endeavors?
Um, yes, he did. He oh, my parents definitely support my me wanting to do music. Uh, and it's funny because my dad he was more of a football coach. He was a
Oh,
football guy,
yeah.
and it kind of it took him by surprise when they found out I was more into the music stuff. But I mean, I still played sports, but I never really wanted to play college football or anything like that. None of that. I could have cared less for a scholarship for football.
Did you go to college? Have you had any college experience, Josh?
Actually, I've never been to college. I've only been in the Navy since I was 18.
Ah, okay, got it. Well, that's that's a trip on it in and of itself, right?
Oh yeah,
It's not only a job; it's kind of a lifestyle.
it really is. Yeah.
So when did you get to the point where you actually wanted to do this in a band or out in public and set up a band and maybe even make it your life career? When did that come about?
I think that was when I was 15 at Urick. After I played on stage, I was like, this could go horribly wrong or horribly right. Like I could either get booed and considering what was going on, like it was a small town and we were at the park. There was bleachers set up in front of like this makeshift stage, and there was a good amount of people there. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect all
Uh-oh.
this. I was like, I didn't expect all this to happen, but I got a good response from the crowd, and I was like, well, I like this. I want to keep. I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I understand that. It took me a while to get over my nerves. I mean, there is certainly a certain amount of nerves that happen for most of us. Some people control it better than others. It took me a while, but now they don't bother me. But I don't know if I could play for 100,000 people.
100,000.
Yeah.
I've never played for 100,000. Let's see, the most I've played for was actually, believe it or not, it was like 10,000. I think.
Oh, that
Yeah,
wow.
that one was a little nerve wracking, but that's one thing I've noticed is like I've always like anytime I've had the butterflies, I was always able to use it to
Did
kind of
right.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of was like my fuel. I was just use that to make a good show and see what happens. But the 10,000 people that was at so in Columbia, Missouri, there's a college, right? It's Mizzou.
Mhm.
I think I was 16 at the time, and I was a part of FFA too, and they had this little little program to where if you played music, you could play for the FFA convention. And this was the entire state of Missouri's FFA. And, like Missouri's pretty spiritual about their FFA program. So,
can you explain what FFA means? So people might not know.
Yeah, that's Future Farmers of America.
Yeah.
So, and it was actually established in Missouri. So Missouri takes the FFA program for the education very, very seriously. And they have it at a collegiate level too, and that's who was all there. Really, it was the college and then the high schools just kind of mingled together because they had like events going on and like programs and competitions and stuff like that. But there was one where there was a show, and people came up and sang one song, and I got to sing one song, and because I had to submit a video, and then they said you've been accepted, and I was blown away because like I'm like I have not been doing this for a long time, but let's give it a shot. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not unusual for town scouts out there to or promoters to be in the crowds and in these festivals and fairs and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that early on that there were always somebody out there looking for talent. And I had a young man that was playing jams down in Tacoma when I had my band. And I asked him, he was 16, and I asked him if he would, I think his name was, I can't remember his name anymore. But they picked him up. Nashville picked him up just about the time he was going to play my band.
Really?
Yeah, and he came out with a song called "My Hometown," and it was about his town, North Washington, and it was really a great song. Eventually, believe it or not, after going through all this and becoming famous, he chucked the whole thing and became a minister.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there's Lila McCann I was telling you about. Her father, Pat, and a Southlanders. When she was 12 years old, they got her up on stage singing. They promised her a Barbie doll if she'd sing. I think that's how the story goes. And they picked her up too, and she became.
Really?
Yeah, she had "Down Came a Blackbird" was the name of her song. And she's now in California, and she's coming back again. I get a lot of her notifications about records she's making and so forth. So there's been a couple that I used to play with in jam. They were in the jams. I never played directly with them, but wanted them to play my band, and they became famous. So it seems to be a place they pick people from around here.
That is very unique. You don't. It's not often I hear stories like that, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it all started. Either their father had a band, or in the other guy. I can't remember his name. I believe Brian was his last name. Can't remember his last name, but he never had it. His father never had a band. He just wanted to do this, and he started running early, and he caught the eye of somebody. And of course, in Lila's case, it was her father who had the band, and she sang there. But I think she entered a contest like similar to The Voice. I don't remember what it was called at that time. And she was a runner-up to one of the gals who did become famous as well. So yeah, there's a lot happening in this area for whatever reason. It just has a whole history of that, all the way from Bellingham on down to Olympia. So just a heads up, you never know who you're singing to.
Well, hopefully one day I meet one of them. That'd be cool.
Well, I think if you're really bound and determined to do this, I think you're the kind of man who follow your opportunities, and that's probably where it'll take you at some point. But unless you make it big these days, which is very hard to come by, because most of this is independent artists, which that's what I am. I'm an independent artist, so I know big record companies are going to come pick me up. But if you're lucky enough to be a star, it get picked for stardom, you're probably going to make money. But if you're going to be an independent artist in this world, you're probably not going to be rich.
That's fine.
And it's so many people I talk to on this program. They basically say, I love music. I love to share my music, and that's all that's really matters. It doesn't
Oh,
matter
yeah.
if they get picked up on that, because if you're going to spend your time waiting for that, you may wait a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
But you never know.
that's the main thing, is just being able to just perform for people. It's a blessing.
Right. And how did now you have a band called what? Is it just a Josh Collins band?
That is correct. Yes, it is
Okay.
the Josh Collins Band.
And I don't know who else you have in. I know you have Spencer Toyson. I've interviewed him here. He's quite the guy. I can't believe he just picked up a mandolin and started playing for you.
He picked up a banjo too. I got.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got the banjo guitar. It's strung up like a guitar, but it's a banjo, right? It's got the snare drum at the bottom and all that. And I brought it to a couple shows, and he's picked around on it, and it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty great. Yeah.
So who else is in your band besides Spencer?
So there's Spencer, and then another guy named AJ who also plays guitar. And I have to kind of rotate them out because they all have other bands, or they got other stuff going on. Annan, he plays the bass, and I met AJ and Annan at the Little Red Hen. And then there's Dave Bush. He plays drums. He actually plays with Cammy Voss too, quite often. Yeah,
I've probably seen him then. Does he play bass?
No, I don't know if he plays bass.
Okay.
I know for a fact he plays drums though.
Okay.
And he's got like long hair, glasses, and a beard.
No.
And let's see, and I got another guy named Don who plays drums with us, and then Jake Spencer's drummer for
Yeah, I know Jake.
He's played a show or two with us.
How's he at being a country drummer?
He's great. He's absolutely great. And he loves playing Tyler Childers too. He does a great job at getting the rhythm right for those songs because he's a big Tyler Childers fan.
He's a whose fan?
Tyler Childers.
Who's that? Country star?
Yeah, he's a country music artist.
Sorry, I'm a little behind.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, here in 2000, but not up 23.
Yeah, he's great. And then there's this other guy named Vince who's going to be playing with us because Annan, our bass player, is going to be going to Hawaii for a wedding.
Oh, well.
And Vince, he's going to step in. He's a little newer. This will be his first time playing with us. And yeah, I look forward to it. It's going to be at the Oxford Saloon this Saturday.
Oh. How are you doing on Saturday? I have so many people to go see. I've got like 15, 20 people at a time. I can't make all of them. I've been thinking about cloning myself. So, Josh, what was the first time that you actually paid out in an audience for money as a band?
Ooh, as a band? Well, because in Missouri, I kind of just did solo for the most part. I really wasn't old enough, nor did I have the connections to get a band. I also lived in a small town.
Yeah,
and that's another blessing that I gotta be grateful for, is being out here. Is I learned a lot about marketing and building relationships with other band members and other musicians, and and I think that'll be a great skill to take with me. But to answer your question, the first time I played for like money with the band would probably have to be the Little Red Hen. I believe it was the Little Red Hen on a Thursday. But in the past, it was more solo shows, and I was paid for those too.
Oh, good.
And I did those in Missouri as well. And there was I take that back, because there was a couple times where bands joined me, but that really wasn't for money, because it wasn't my show per se. I was
Right.
just like an opening or something like that.
Right.
But like my first actual show, like that was just me, was probably the Little Red Hen.
Okay. Yeah, I thought some interesting because there's such a positive group of people that go there. I mean, I think you could sing really bad, and still they like you, which is very encouraging and just makes you want to get better. I can't say the first time that I went there, I thought I was very good, but they seemed to like it, so who knows? But they do
Oh,
like
really?
to dance there. Yeah.
Oh, they
Uh,
love to dance.
I was going to ask you about that. I haven't seen. I've been just doing jamming, and I'm just starting out to gig out, but I haven't gone to any. They closed down. There was a place called Local Billy's in Stanwood, and Chris Sager. I don't know if you ever met him. He goes to Oxford every now and then.
I think I
Yeah,
met Chris once or
yeah.
twice.
He Spencer played with him a few times. He's country and the blues, but where was I? Oh well, I lost the thought. Anyway, oh, he used to have country dancing at Local Billy's, and
Oh, really?
yeah, they were teaching country dancing. So now I don't know what songs people are playing to or what beats they're playing. Have you run into any place where they're doing line dancing lessons before the show?
Yeah. So
Really?
on every Thursday at the Little Red Hen, they do line dancing lessons before the band takes the stage, and then Friday, Saturday it's just the band, but Thursdays they'll do that. And I
Okay.
that was kind of interesting to me too. I was like, oh, there's already a crowd here.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
was like, oh well, it looks like we're just gonna take the stage. And then like those guys I was playing with, they played there before, so they already knew the deal. They were like, oh
yeah.
yeah, don't worry about it.
So what kind of dances? What kind of dances songs were they dancing to? What kind of beats? What were they?
Well, it's really just divided between fast songs and slow songs, because
Oh, that's
yeah,
easy.
yeah, that's kind of how I really just divide everything. And anytime I put in like, and they'll dance to really anything as long as it sounds good to them. Like I remember playing Jimmy Eats World, and people were doing two step to it, and I was like, well, that's interesting. But they were moving quick too, because it's like a '90s rock song. So I was like, well, okay.
I know you're awfully young in the sense of compared to where some of the older artists are from. But there was a Chubby Checkers. I don't know if you ever knew him or ever heard it, but he had a song called "The Twist." Have
Twist,
you ever heard that? And people
maybe.
are like doing the twist to this twist.
That sounds like the 1930s dance, the little
No,
twist.
no, no, no. It's in the '60s,
Oh, the
and
60s. Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty moving song. Um, we did it yesterday Saturday out at the gig I was at. And there was a lady in there. She had to be probably in her somewhere between 40 and 60, somewhere in there. She's really a mover. And she was dancing to this twist. It was just amazing. I didn't think anybody even remembered that, but she did. It was fun. It was fun to watch it after all this time. No, it's just
It
good.
sounds like a good time.
It was. It was. People were all musicians. Most of the people there were all musicians. They must have had 30 bands, I believe, playing from on Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. So I believe it was Sunday. And they had them all lined up. So by the time 8 o'clock on Saturday came, there were so many people you couldn't get in there. So we're 200 people in this little field on private property. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I couldn't play it because I got an earlier gig that day in the hot sun. But we had a good time. It was just really hot. So during the time that COVID was raging here, where were you? And if I may ask, and what were you thinking about? How did that affect your life in any way?
Well, during COVID, the midst of it, I was in the Middle East.
Oh, on a ship.
I was on a ship. Yep. I was in the Arabian Gulf on the USS John Paul Jones.
Wow. What was happening there? I understood that there on some of these ships there was a lot of COVID, but people there was some issues with the fact that they weren't combat ready or whatever because of the COVID. Was that true or rumor?
So yeah, one of the reasons why a lot of ships had to stay in the Middle East for longer is because COVID was affecting a lot of ships, so they couldn't get reliefs to come relieve them from duty in the Middle East to keep patrolling. So they just had to stay in the Middle East. But eventually they'll solve the problem because the Navy was really good at quarantining people, and they really put a lid on the whole quarantine situation, right? If you were to leave during quarantine, you would have gotten in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So because one person leaving quarantine and getting COVID and infecting the entire ship could ruin the ship's mission.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they really had the leash on us for that, and it was important. One person could have changed the whole spectrum of how things went over there.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. My husband prior was he was in Vietnam and he was Marine,
Oh,
part
okay.
of the Navy, and eventually he became an Army officer. And as life would have it, things moved on. And I was I could never really get to the part that Marines were Navy, but because he would, call his commanding officer admiral or whatever, and I'm like, I was used to the Army, so or the Air Force, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, but yeah, that that's how I got into Club. What is it, 171 or 170?
Well, Club 170 over
Yeah,
on
yeah,
at Colby. Yeah,
yeah, because he was Marine.
yeah. Denny took me there once.
Yeah. Oh, is that how you got there, Danny? What a character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
I'm
says,
so
yeah. He says, oh, you got to come out sometime, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, why not?
did they play were they able to play your music, Josh?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It
there's a
was a
guy
good
there named
time.
Steve. Yeah, good. I did too. So moving on from that, we kind of got this COVID thing done. But how do we get a hold of you? How do the people that would like to come to one of your shows and hear your music, how do they reach you, Josh? Where do you post your gigs and etc.?
That is a great question. So I posted on all social media platforms with the exception of LinkedIn. I don't really know how to use that, so I just stay away. I stay
I
away from
do.
it, but I stay away from it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll post on. I
Are
will
you
post.
are you
What's
in
that?
Reverb? Are you in Reverb Nation?
What's that?
Reverb Nation.
What's Reverb Nation?
Oh, it's where you can post music. There's a lot of local. It doesn't just go local; it goes um, all through the United States. So
Really?
and international. But it's called Reverb Nation. A lot of artists around here, including Doug Rusk, and I think you know him.
Oh yeah.
He has his stuff. I have my stuff there. Some of my stuff there. Yeah.
Where you just make posts on? Is it a Facebook page or?
No, it's an app, and it's basically free unless you want to do some other things with it. And you just put your songs in there, and you put in your, like all social media, your bio, and what you're about and what you're promoting here. You put your songs in there, and then it just goes out, and people respond. They'll click on the link and find you, and etc. It's sort of like it's kind of like Instagram. Do you do Instagram?
I do Instagram. Yeah.
Something like that, but a little more media style, like some combination between Messenger, Facebook, and Instagrams, etc.
Okay.
You might want to look that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for right now, I haven't recorded anything in the studio yet, but for when it
Makes
comes to
money.
yeah, I'll get in the studio eventually, but um, when it comes to seeing one of our live shows, I post everything we do on social media. So Facebook, I have my regular Facebook. You could just look up Josh Collins and find me. And then I have the Facebook page set up for our band. It's called the Josh Collins Band. That's it. Yeah. And on the Josh Collins Band webpage, you could find the Gmail I have set up for our band is joshcollinsband@gmail.com. And then also I'm on Instagram as I am Josh Collins. Or you could go on TikTok, the_Josh_Collins, and then you can go on Snapchat and then Josh_Collins 4. Those are all ways of finding out about shows, I try my best to promote it and share it with everyone, and hoping the best that other people share it as well. So in case that someone in their friend group wants to go and they didn't see the post, then they get to see the post. That's kind of my goal when I send out the flyers. Is just so that people can, get a chance to see that what time the show is. And because I've had people come up to me before and be like, hey, when's your next show? I was like, oh, it was yesterday. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And then
do you post on Matured Musicians?
I don't think I have.
And do that. So I've got 2,254 people who watch those posts.
Of course, yeah. I
and a couple of bookers, so you might want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely post on Matured Musicians. That sounds. And I found some other pages too on Facebook that I'll post it on. Is Seattle Happenings. Basically anything that relates to like country music dancing, and I haven't
found those yet.
Yeah, I always look for, and then I do that in like the Tacoma area, the Seattle, Arlington, and Marysville, and Snohomish area, Everett. I try to find those pages that relate to country music.
Have you gone to the Mirkwood Jam with Chris Egger yet and Richard Williams up in Mirkwood?
I've never played at the Mirkwood. I walked in there once though. But yeah, I've never played there. I know the bar is like based off of Lord's Rings, where they got the Gandalf picture and all that. And yeah, it's a pretty cool bar.
Yeah,
I never got a chance to play there though.
Well, Chris Egger was in Nashville, and he does country supremely. And he's got a friend who's an international star. His name is Eric Heatherly. I love his music. But if you ever look him up, it's Eric Heatherly. And he's taken older songs like, I can't think of what the one I'm right now when I'm talking. But he takes old songs and he makes he's a vintage kind of guy, so he puts newer beats to this vintage music, and it really comes out great.
Catches a tune?
Huh?
Does it catch a tune?
Yeah. And then his wife is also a performer, and they are, 14-karat gold performers in there, the whole package. He's got a thing coming out. He's selling tickets. I want to go see their VIP tickets for $100 per person. So I'm still hoping to get there, but he is definitely interested in seeing the both of them. So there's an opportunity there too. You might want to explore. And I'm sure you could play there at some point. I know how good you play, so. Moving forward on this, getting a hold of you, do you have any idea of when you might be recording your songs? Do you have a plan, like a 1 to 5 year plan, or have you not become a civilian enough yet? It's a private joke.
No, that's, so my plan is to record it here pretty soon. I got to find the studio that'll do it first. And then once I find a studio, then record it. My plan is to come back. So when I get out of the Navy officially, I'll be back in Missouri for a little bit. And I'm going to use my GI Bill to go to college.
All right.
And I'm also going to be going to Branson, Missouri, which is not far from me,
Yes.
and playing shows there. And then during the summertime, I'd like to come back to Seattle and play shows here too, right? So I don't, I like to revisit people and see old faces. I
Mhm.
built a connection out here, and I don't want to lose that.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
and even making a trip to Nashville. I've never been. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been to Nashville.
Well, I had a chance, and I still have a chance, I guess. But I tell you something, Josh. I don't like Nashville.
Really?
Everything to me, they use the same musicians in the studio that they use for the Stars, and so that has that Nashville sound, right? And I like the Northwest sound. I like the improv here of how they, I jam with rockers and they change the country music because they don't know rock licks from beans, right? And like Jerry Batista, for example. And it's just so interesting. It has its own flavor. And so people who sing country out here are very different. They don't have the Southern accent. They don't have a Southern drawl. They don't have that Southern background. And so this is really country. I mean, you look at the mountains and the rivers and the oceans here, you got it all, right?
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
comes through in the music.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I didn't want to ruin myself. Again, I know I'm never going to be a star. So, I just enjoy what I'm doing and I do it because I love it. So I want to do it my way.
Yep. Like do it like Sinatra. Do it your way.
Yes, right. Anyway, now that I have an idea of where you're going, I think I would like to go to Branson. I'm not interested in Knoxville, but I wouldn't mind going to Branson.
Branson. Oh yeah, it's a great
That's-
time.
Yeah,
That's where a lot of the old time country music artists, after they do their time in Nashville, that's where they go to retire.
yeah.
There's a saying. They say, "Last one in Nashville, turn off the lights on the way to Branson."
I love it.
Yeah, and it's such a great time. It's not only just the good music; that they have a great amusement park scene. There's a lot of rich history in the hills of the Ozarks, right? Um, well, we call them. It's funny they call them the Ozark Mountains, but they're not mountains. They're more like they're huge hills
Yeah,
with like woods on them, and
right.
like they call that a mountain, and I look at Mount Rainier just outside, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a mountain, but
Yeah.
like that's a mountain. But no, Ozark does have a really rich history, and so Branson, it was a mining town too. It was like it's got a lot of old West culture, and
Mhm.
it's
I like to see that.
very great place, very friendly people. I recommend Branson to anyone. And if you want to bring kids,
Yeah.
you just want to have a girls trip or, like a guys trip even, it's a great time for everybody. It's fun for the whole family is what I would say.
Have you ever met any stars besides Neil Young?
That's not, that's, that's Billy Bodacious.
I put a picture. Anybody's listening or listen later. I put a picture of Josh with Billy Stephenson. I think he says it, and he does. He was the host of the jams at Little Red Hen. I think he still might be. And he took a picture with Josh, and people were asking Josh. I'll let you tell the story, Josh, about what
Oh
people
yeah.
were.
People were asking me if that was Neil Young.
Have you met any Nashville, not Nashville stars, but a lot of people from Branson, Nashville, or any stars from the country world at all yet,
um,
other than Neil Young?
Yes, I met two.
Okay.
They're modern country artists. So when I was 16, I went to a Rascal Flatts concert, and then someone in line told me and my friend, said, "Hey, you guys want to meet Chris Young?" And I was like, "Sure." And Chris Young was an opening act for Rascal Flatts. It was during the Rhythm and Roots tour, and here comes no, excuse me, not Chris Young, Chris Lane. And I see Chris Lane, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that's actually him." So I got to shake his hand and I got to talk to him for a little bit. And the one question I asked him is like, what do I got to do to get in your shoes? And then he said, you just got to write. You just got to write and play and, stay humble. And I was like, okay, that's exactly what I'll do. And then I also met Chase Bryant in Hawaii when I was stationed out there. He was at the NEX and he was doing a meet and greet. I was just honestly, I was going to the NEX just to get something to eat. I didn't even know he was rolling up, and I said, "Whoa!" And I just got to shake his hand, get a picture with him as well. And and then I said, "You're playing later?" And he says, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "All right, I'll be by later." And he says, "Okay, I look forward to it." And so I came out, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, one of the things that I've never met any stars to speak of, but Lynn Sorensen used to play bass for Bad Company. Paul Rogers, he was picked up for I don't know, about 8 years or so, and they played all these places in Europe, these big, huge venues, and so that's as close as I've gotten to anybody that had that kind of ability. I mean, his ability is very advanced. I don't know about anymore, but back then it was highly advanced, and that's the closest I've ever gotten. And one of the things that he said, he was interviewed by me, and one of the things he said was, there's a persona on stage. When we get on stage, a lot of the stars come off that stage and then they're just your regular people, they're good old Joes. But when they're on that stage, it's a whole different persona up there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've heard about those guys. I haven't got a chance to see them yet though.
Yeah. Well, that's coming, Josh. You might just be there before long.
Yeah. I would love to see them.
So we have about 9 more minutes.
Okay.
If you go to college, if you go back home and you go to college on the money that the government owes you to do that, one of my kids did that. My daughter, she was in the U.S. Army, and she was at Desert Storm. So I don't know, my son was in the military at the time, but he wasn't in combat like she was. And she did go to college and get her 4-year degree on that program.
Well, I would like to thank both of them for their service.
Thank you. Yes. We were a military family. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years before he died, and he served for McCord. He was one of the shots on McCord in the enlisted ranks.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was. He saw a lot. And finally he passed, but he was in the beginning, he was a gunner, and when he was dying, he was behaving like he was in that airplane and doing that, which was kind of unusual. But he passed happily, and it's over and done. But he served his country for a while.
And I thank him as well.
Thank you. So, what was the moment or moments when you realized, this, what I want to be and what I want to do with my life is the right thing? And if you go to college on that bill, what kind of studies would you be interested in taking?
Well, for studying, this is what my plan was: is marketing would be the major, and then I would do something music related for minor.
Yeah.
Even if things don't work out in Nashville, I still want to work in the industry, and marketing is such a wonderful degree to have for really any trade in the book.
Absolutely, I agree.
And a lot of people get it too. So, but the thing is, though, is like I also believe that marketing would help with the music, right? And that's a kind of a problem that people see in Nashville, or usually when they're trying to get somewhere, they have problem putting themselves out and like getting the attention.
Yeah.
And I feel like marketing would help with that.
Right. We have that problem here. A lot of musicians don't market themselves, and they're beginning to catch on. But this is where it's at. I mean, that's how you reach out to people, and it really became an important factor during COVID because there's no other way to make contact with musicians.
Right. And
Okay.
then the other, goodness, I feel like I forgot the other question you
Oh,
asked.
the other part was, where was the moment or moments that you realized that you were on the right path for you? That aha moment. Oh, this is what I want to be, and this proves it, or not proves it, but this is a sign along the way.
Oh, well, one thing I think that's got me going on the right path is just like just for me to keep doing shows and keep getting calls from people to book shows, and that just shows that that they want to hear what I got, and it's a blessing for me, and I thank God for it every day. And yeah, it's just that just shows that for me, anyways, I think that's what's telling me I'm on the right path, and
Yes.
just to keep doing what I'm doing, and yeah, just have fun with it and be humble,
Absolutely. So you had to put your life on hold, I would guess, to some extent. I mean, if you're out on a ship, you're not making contact with land. I mean, at least not physically.
especially during COVID too. Yeah.
That thing now, Penny. So I don't want to ask you about your personal life, but do you have any plans in that area? I mean, now that you have this whole military thing is wrapping up and coming to an end, do you have any thoughts about what you'd like to do in that direction? Have you a girl
What?
back home or?
Oh, yeah. So I want to go back home after my military service, and that's where I'm going to start my first 2 years of college. Is I'm going to do my gen eds there, in Missouri, so I could get back home, because I haven't lived in Missouri since I was 18, and I'll be 25 when I get out. So it was a good journey to have, and I met a lot of great people, and I would I would say it's a part of me, like it gave me pride, and it gave me strength, and but it's just one of those things that I'm, it's just a passing, and I'm gonna head back home, get back with family, and then do my 2 years of college there, and then possibly another 2 years in Nashville, with the Navy paying for it.
Good thinking, Josh. You got on the
Yeah.
right ship.
Yeah. This time I got on the right ship. Yeah.
So, do you have any friends left back in your hometown?
I do.
Are they all
Yeah.
moved on, or?
Oh yeah. No, I got plenty of friends. A lot of them after high school went into trades, and they kind of stuck around home. And then the ones that I have that went to college, they went to college, and then they came back home.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world going back home and on your new endeavor of going and getting an education. Marketing, if I were your parent, I would be thrilled to death that you do that, because no matter what, that's going to get you, that's going to be a foundation to build on.
Right.
Everybody needs the marketing, everybody, not just music people.
Oh yeah.
So, of all the people that you've met here in the Northwest, is it the musicians that you've met that will be your memory, that you carry with, or is it a combination of all the military people that you've met, the Navy guys, and all the musicians that you've met going to jams and doing what you're doing now?
It's going to be both. Most
And
definitely
bands?
both. Yeah. The military people and the musicians I met out here. And there's some people that I met out here, just just regular civilians that I became friends with, and by golly, I'll miss them.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, I think you're blessed because you have your home base and you have your friends there and you have your experience here in the state of Washington that you have more than one thing going on for reinforcement and support. And I'm glad you had
Absolutely.
that, Josh.
And it is a blessing.
So with that, I have to close. It is now been an hour, a little over.
Okay.
We're clicking up here, but I hope to see you in the future. I hope to catch a show. And I still want to sing with you when I see you somewhere, when you're at a jam. Okay.
All righty.
Well, it's been very nice talking to you, Josh, and I wish you all the very best.
And thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye.
So that's it for our show. I do not have a show on Memorial Day. I decided to take that day off. I think I need it. So as soon as Memorial Day is over, I will be posting who our next guest is. And you have a great Labor Day weekend and enjoy yourself for the rest of this week and stay safe. Signing out. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you for listening.